Welcome to the Italian Wine Podcast. This episode has been brought to you by the Wine2Wine Business Forum 2022. This year will mark the 9th edition of the forum to be held on November 7th and 8th of 2022 in Verona, Italy. This year will be an exclusively in-person edition. The main theme of the event will be all-round wine communication. Tickets are on sale now, so for more information, please visit us at wine2wine.net.
Italian Wine Podcast, a Wine2Wine Business Forum 2021 media partner, is proud to present a series of sessions highlighting the key themes and ideas from the two-day event held on October the 18th and 19th, 2021. This hybrid edition of the Business Forum was jam-packed with the most informed speakers, discussing some of the hottest topics in the wine industry today. For more information, please visit wine2wine.net and tune in every Thursday at 2 p.m. Central European Time for more episodes recorded during this latest edition of Wine2Wine Business Forum.
Buongiorno.
Buongiorno.
Laura. Or I guess it's afternoon in Italy by now, but we are both in California, early morning. So we will be talking about the changes in sustainability reporting and communication and the future needs of sustainability for the wine industry in this talk. And my name is Erica Loving. I'm the Chief Sustainability Officer of Vintage Wine Estates in California. I have presented at Wine2Wine before as a Swedish wine journalist specialized in sustainability, but now I have moved over here and I'm working on the operative side. Vintage Wine Estates is a publicly listed company. We're on NASDAQ under the ticker VWE, and we've been only listed for 6 months. We have about 14 wineries and around 50 brands. Changes a little. And I'm the first sustainability officer for the company. So my job is reporting sustainability to the financial markets, reporting sustainability to our board and the corporate side, but also the strategy of sustainability for the company overall, the certifications, the technology implementation, and so on. And Laura almost needs no introduction, but I will let you introduce yourself.
Well, hello everybody. Ciao. I am Laura Catena, Managing Director of Bodega Catena Zapata in Mendoza, Argentina, and also the founder of the Catena Institute of Wine. And it's very exciting to be here presenting with Erica because, sustainability is something very, very dear to me. It's, the sine qua non of the future. And at Catena, about 15 years ago, we realized that there was no sustainability code for Argentina. And we actually went out to study all the sustainability codes from around Europe, United States, Australia, Chile, and we came up with a code that we later realized if we're the only one using this code, what's the use of that? And we actually worked with some other wineries in Argentina and an organization of wineries, Bodegas de Argentina, to create a code that can be used by all. And today is being used by hundreds of wineries in Argentina. So it's fantastic to be here today. And I know one of the things that we've been asked to talk about is the Sustainability Roundtable, which is a group of wineries, retailers, there's, monopolies from Sweden is on it. So you go from producer, and they want, and they have small and large producers, organic, not organic producers, big retailers, small retailers, buyers, for us to get together and figure out a way to create a international applicable sustainability code. And this is a very exciting group that both Erica and I are part of. And but the problem is that the task is so big. I wonder if we will accomplish it. Erica, do you want to make some comments about why you have joined the group and what you think they can do?
Yeah, I was very excited that this group was founded. It's a nonprofit out of the UK, Sustainable Wine Roundtable, or SWR is the short. And Vintage joined it as a founding member, just like Catena did. And it's about 50 founding members. We launched, or the roundtable launched publicly about a month ago, and will be open to general membership from 2022. But I've worked with evaluating certifications for the Swedish monopoly for Systembolaget before, and the complexity of all these programs. I mean, I love that you have the Argentine program. There are some great programs around the world. There are some slightly weaker programs as well, but the problem is for the consumer. I mean, both for the consumer and sometimes for the group. We are 14 wineries. We have wineries that are Live certified, SIP certified, California Sustainable Wine Growers Alliance certified, and then there's an organic vineyard here and there. There's all these programs. We have Napa Green, fish friendly farming. It becomes too complex. It becomes too complex for us, and even me as a expert on sustainability in wine, and with extra depth on certifications. If you woke me up in the middle of the night and said, which one's better at water, which one's better at packaging, which one even includes packaging, I couldn't tell you. And it becomes impossible almost for the buyers and the consumers to know which certifications are credible. Is this truly a sustainable wine that I'm buying? And I think we need to streamline that. We need to look at coffee, bananas, chocolate, palm oil, the other areas where they've learned to develop an international code. It will improve things for the for the industry, for understanding and communication. And I mean, I have to report according to other frameworks as well. We will be reporting to the financial markets according to something called SASB, and they will have other metrics than our sustainability code. So I'm very excited about this Sustainable Wine Roundtable and what we can get out of it.
Yeah, and I think that what the good thing about this roundtable is that it has players from, viticulture, winemaking, to selling wine, buying wine, and there will be these task forces, these groups working on different topics. But you were just mentioning that you have to report on the business side, on the financial side, and I want to tell a story about talking to financial people about sustainability. I was in a conference that was done by Stanford University. I went to medical school there, and I was the only doctor winemaker. Everybody else was from the business side. And when we were talking about metrics, I thought we were talking completely different languages, because they were talking about money and, some number that meant that you were more or less sustainable. And then when I started talking about, well, what are we doing about the glacier water? How are we storing water so that we have more water because there's less water? How are we taking care of the people in the countryside who are leaving to the cities because they're looking for a different kind of life because of climate change? What are we doing about biodiversity? And I was speaking about this, and I realized that everybody else in the audience, and it was a group of maybe about 20 people, was speaking a different language. Everything I said did not mean something to them because it was not, in a dollar number. And I hope that the Sustainability Roundtable will look into, how do we and the financial people speak the same language? Because if you focus about sustainability as a way to make money, and yes, sustainable is being able to make some money because that's how you plant vineyards and pay salaries. However, the goal of preserving the planet and preserving these traditions of winemaking has to be present at all moments. And the other thing that to me is very difficult about this financial analysis of sustainability is that in different countries you have different situations. So for example, in Argentina we don't have any incentives for solar or wind energy because and actually there's a subsidy for gasoline, so that's really inexpensive. So if I want to put solar panels, it's a huge investment, and I have to decide Am I doing solar panels, or am I building more houses for the people who live in the vineyards, who have been working for our family for 20 years? Or, or am I planting a vineyard in a new location because there's little water in this location? And, so I think that, understanding, the sort of what's behind the money, and thinking, in terms of saving the earth. And at the same time, really, the think global, act local. A person in Sweden needs to understand a person in Argentina, and a person in Argentina needs to understand a person in South Africa or in France. How do we get to do this? I think, Erica, is very difficult.
I agree that it's difficult, and I remember actually when that Stanford event happened to you, and you were kind of sad that they would turn sustainability, which is really about saving the earth and the people, into financial metrics. And here I come from the other side. I mean, that's how I got into sustainability, because my father was an environmental activist and journalist, and it really has mattered to me. But the language that I found to communicate it, when I found ways to communicate to the financial markets, that was really interesting to me. That I went to an excellent class on ESG, so environmental, social, and governance. ESG is basically what the financial markets are calling sustainability, or CSR. That's the new term. And I went to an ESG class at Berkeley Law with a professor called Amelia Miasad. And it was eye-opening to me, because it bridged this need for the financial markets to make a profit with the needs we have as a society to care for these big questions of carbon, water, climate change, and the social justice. And for me now, as I'm going through these processes, working through our company, looking for sustainability projects or sustainability improvements, a lot of them actually turn into financial improvements. If I find technology that saves water, well, that also saves water cost and the cost of pumping water and so on. And same if I look for energy improvements, energy efficiencies, we save money from using less energy. So it does make for a stronger company from a corporate standpoint. So I understand that, you can be an investor and be interested in investing in a sustainable company from let's say, the goodness of your heart, that that's where you want your money placed. You find this an important topic, or you could just not care and just want to look for really well-run companies. And I would say that companies that work a lot with sustainability will be well-run because of this way of looking through profits. And what I have with time, what I have started feeling is that there's no problem in that, because the end result is the same. So if you're investing in companies just for the profit, but it actually has the effect of better salaries for the employees, better trainings for the employees, better more water saving, or lower carbon footprint, I think that's great.
But I think that you're to me, you're putting it all together, but there's many instances where it's not so obvious that the thing to help the climate is the one that makes you money. For sure, there are some situations. Let's say you turn off the lights in your house. That's good for your pocket and also good for the environment. Wonderful. Let's do it. So those are perhaps the easy decisions that many people are not doing that. Yes, that must be done. However, some of these undertakings on behalf of climate change and helping the planet require very big investments that might not pay off for 20, 30 years. So it's, for let's say a small family winery to make such an investment, would be, crazy, because, you cannot just survive financially. And so I think that, yes, there are some things that are clearly the right thing to do, and we need to all collaborate on doing it. I think there's other things that are more difficult. And one of the things that you and I spoke about is packaging. So, there is this big move to lighter bottles. We have this bottle. It's under 400 grams for a wine that's natural wine, no sulfites, organic grapes. It sells for around retail price of 20 euros. Wonderful wine. But when you talk about the luxury segment, and we have wines in that segment, I want to show something that I was given, and don't be jealous. Look at this, Louis XV. So this is a cognac that comes in this fantastic box. I mean, if you get this box, for me, I spend my money on wine, not on clothes. Sorry for the Italians there. I like to look at people in Italy. They look so good, but I'd like to spend my money on wine. And this is the box here that it comes in. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And then here you open and you get this fantastic cognac, very, very luxury, very, very heavy. And, I finished the cognac, but I'm still saving it and I show it to friends. And I've derived a lot of pleasure from this box and this bottle. And so many special moments with people. They come to my house. I give them this cognac that is so phenomenal. And I say, okay, so if I didn't have all this, the experience would be lesser. And, what is the carbon footprint of this? It's quite high. But, is that the right thing to do for this producer? I think that it's part of the experience. So what are your thoughts on that, Erica?
Are you enjoying this podcast? There is so much more high-quality wine content available from Mama Jumbo Shrimp. Check out our new wine study maps, our books on Italian wine, including Italian Wine Unplugged, The Jumbo Shrimp Guide to Italian Wine, Sangiovese Lambrusco and Other Stories, and much, much more on our website, mamajumboshrimp.com. Now back to the show.
I think going back to the Sustainable Wine Roundtable, one thing that was quite prominent as a problem when I went through the global sustainability certifications is that a lot of them do not include packaging. And the glass bottle makes up about 30% of a wine's total carbon footprint. And I think the Swedish monopoly just released a study that showed that for the Swedish market, the life cycle analysis of a wine bottle, the packaging and the transportation is together 90%. So only 10% actually comes from the vineyard and winery, which is not a lot. So we have to include packaging. If we're going to work with science-based metrics, we have to include the packaging. And one of the key things is then, if we want to stay with glass bottles, and there are advantages to glass bottles, I think over alternative packaging such as Tetra Pak, bag and box, aluminum cans. All those have a lower carbon footprint for sure. They might have other drawbacks, but if we say that we want to work with glass, we have to reduce the weight of the packaging. The problem is exactly what you're saying. The luxury experience of a heavy bottle and the consumer's perception of quality connected to the bottle weight. But I really believe the key thing is picking your bottles here. Jackson Family Wines is a winery group. Most of you know it. They're out of California, based out of California as well, and they work a lot with sustainability. And they took their two biggest brands, La Crema and Jackson Family Wines. They're huge brands in the U.S. And reduced the bottle weight. And they reduced it by 3 ounces per bottle on average, which is about, let's see here. I wish the Americans worked in a metric system, but it's less than 100 gram change per bottle, if I remember correctly. And that gave them a carbon footprint reduction for the entire company of 4%. So the entire big corporation reduced their carbon footprint by 4% by doing this change. And it wasn't that they went to lightweight bottles. They went to lighter weight bottles. And they didn't tell anybody. They didn't tell the buyers. They didn't tell the press. They didn't tell consumers. And they had no change in their sales figures. And in the process, they actually saved almost $1 million in glass costs buying the lighter weight glass. So I think finding the right wines to make the change for, and I think that a lot of times those are the under $20 wines. If you can find a nice looking bottle that is lighter, you will have a big impact. And I mean, some of the monopolies, including the Scandinavian ones and the Canadian ones, are looking at making that mandatory, and they do have a preference for it.
Yeah, already in Canada, there's some mandatory weight of bottles.
Yeah.
And I agree with you, Erica, that it's not so simple. There's some settings where you can make a big change by just making the decision, and it works. But you said this very clearly. You said they didn't tell anybody, and it went well. But that's because they did it at a certain price point. They didn't do it to this beautiful thing. And so I think that's where the Sustainable Wine Roundtable is so important, because it's connecting, the producer to the person buying the wine and selling the wine, of which there's many in the group. Because I think that until we really explain to the consumer all these concepts, me as a consumer, I'm in the business, I understand this. I really love this, and I think I've gotten so much use out of this one packaging by sharing it with friends, and it's not like I'm buying one very often. This was a gift, and so, what is the carbon footprint of that, compared to everything that happens around it. And so I think that we need education of the consumer, so that the consumer can decide that they want lighter bottles, or they want, they don't want any more wooden boxes for fine wine. I mean, all the Grand Crus are still in wooden boxes. If we're making a wine in Argentina that we want to sell at a similar price, and we don't put it in a wood box, then the consumer perceives it as lesser, which already it's hard to compete with, with the Grand Crus. So I think that this education and thinking of how we connect to the consumer, and the consumer is very tired of what they call greenwashing. They're tired of hearing from people that in the end just want to make money. And so I think it's very important that we be very honest, very methodical, and very science-based on what we're saying. And this is why sustainability certifications are so important. The one we started in Argentina is very scientific. You have to show the data. You are inspected by an official agent. But I think we need to go even beyond that to share information. Because, for example, right now, something very important that we are working on is carbon sequestration. Most vineyards sequester all the carbon that they generate in terms of shipping and bottles and all these things you were talking about. That 30% is the bottles, but actually, if you did the math on how much carbon a vineyard between cover crops, and that's where a vineyard with cover crops is much better for the environment than a vineyard without. So that's where you can even make an argument for organic farming that's very biodiversity conscious. You have this carbon sequestration, but actually making the calculations is very expensive. You need to bring experts. You need to do a lot of measurements. What small winery would be able to do this? So I actually think that what we need to do at the Sustainability Roundtable is also get different size wineries together to present the problems they have, and then find some solutions where things can be shared. At the Catena Institute, we do a lot of research. We've been around since 1995, and everything is shared because it's published with the rest of the industry in Argentina. And we provide services even for things like virus testing to other wineries. So I think it's very important that, yes, we have to think of making money, because otherwise, we can't pay salaries, we can't last. But sometimes we will have to collaborate with our competitors, even if usually we're trying to win, to be number one. We need to collaborate, because if we don't share this knowledge on how to address climate change and how to address so many challenges, maybe we won't be making wine the way we are now in 100 years.
Yeah, there's two things in what you just said that I think are key. One is the science-based metrics. We have to, as a global wine industry, we have to agree on what the key metrics are. If we look at our industry, where do we have the biggest impact on environment and people, and where does environment and people have the biggest impact on us? This is what we call a materiality analysis in the financial, on the ESG side. But we have to do that for the industry. We've done it in lots of places, but we have to do it as a global industry as well. And we have to set the science-based metrics for the most important things, and then we have to streamline that so we can compare it globally, but also so that individual producers don't have to report one way to one buyer, another way to another buyer, a third way to their certification program, a fourth way to their investors, so that we have, we've decided on how to calculate these things. And that process, I think, a lot runs into what you're saying about the bigger producers. We have a responsibility and an opportunity vis-a-vis the industry. We can actually test things and tell the medium-sized and smaller producers what works and what doesn't work. If I implement a program, let's say I implement a program for carbon sequestration, maybe I collaborate with a university. I mean, our group has a full-time person working on sustainability. Not everybody can have that. But we can share that knowledge, because sustainability work is pre-competitive. Anything that benefits, or pretty much anything that benefits me as a company, it benefits me even more if my competitors do it as well. If we're looking at water, for example, if we find ways to save and reuse water, then it's not going to be enough if everybody else who works on the same aquifer or groundwater table don't. So it's better that I share. It's better for us as a company, but it's also better for us as an industry. And we're all very sensitive to climate change. We're kind of a canary in the coal mine. We're going to be affected by climate change much quicker than a lot of other crops are. So we might as well just all
Erica, I think what you said about collaboration with researchers is so important. At the Catena Institute, we collaborate locally, but also we collaborated with researchers in France, in United States and Australia. And honestly, collaboration to me is the real answer to a lot of these things. But as you said, it's not easy for a winery to fund a research program within their winery. For us, this is something that we've been doing for a long time. We have it incorporated into our costs. But the way to incorporate a research person is by doing a research with an academic at a university, where there's also some government funding. Europe has really good funding for agricultural research. And I think that the key to the future will be to connect with academics. And I think that that's where there are issues that academics speak a certain language. It's like I found when I was talking to the finance people, they spoke a different language than I did. I think we have a similar situation between academics in farming, in winemaking all over the world, and wine producers. And I think that our model of what we've been able to do at Catena in Argentina is a model that I want to share all over the world, because I think it can work. And for sure, for example, there's an organization called Inno1 that's run by many people by the University of Bordeaux, and they have a lot of really great producers in France collaborating on research and sharing research. And so I think that, there have to be groups like that forming all over the world, because then you have somebody that knows how to do research. Because if you do your own research and you do it wrong, you come to the wrong conclusion, and then that's a disaster. So I really urge everybody who might be listening who's a producer to just go talk to your local university, ask them what kind of research they're doing, if you can join in with some data. And I think that wineries of any size could contribute to research projects that are run by their local universities. And you could even collaborate across continents. We're doing a Pinot Noir project right now with the University of Burgundy, where they are studying the behavior of Pinot Noir across the world. And they have a site in California, in Germany, in France, in Argentina. And it's just fascinating to look at one variety all over the world. And we are learning so much, and I think they are too. And it's really fantastic. And so I really urge people to do more of that.
I agree with that. I think, in a way, those of us who work with sustainability have to become translators. I mean, both you and I have science backgrounds. You're a medical doctor. I have a master's degree in medical biology, but we've also worked in wine. I'm making a Pinot Noir right now. You're going to have to try it.
Yes, I'd like to.
And I've also worked in finance, but we become translators between these languages to show that we're actually very often looking for the same results. We just use different ways to communicate to get there. And the communication, I think, will be one of the key things with the Sustainable Wine Roundtable, because we will bring our research and our knowledge of what it takes to produce wine to this dialogue we will have with. So just to say, Sustainable Wine Roundtable, some of the retailers that are already members, apart from the Scandinavian monopolies who were really early on, and for example, Systembolaget, the Swedish monopoly, are open to sharing their research that they're doing. I mean, I think they have 8 people employed full time for sustainability or something.
Yeah.
There's a whole group.
You know, what's fantastic about them is that they've taken the time to analyze every code in every country, and decide, is this a sustainable code? But I don't think many other, buyers have that kind of.
No, and they can actually share it then with. So we have Waitrose was an early member. Whole Foods is also a founding member. Lidl is a founding member. They will also be able to share between them what they're doing and start streamlining how they're asking for sustainability reporting from the producers. So in this way, and the group even has journalists. So JancesRobinson.com is a member, is a founding member of the Sustainable Wine Roundtable. And that means we have the whole chain from early production. We have materials producers, we have the wine producers, we have the importers, we have retailers. And I know that the group is interested in collaborating with other organizations. We have the International Wineries for Climate Action are members of the group. And I see this as the necessary next step for the wine industry. We need to find the common denominators and make our message clearer. I have worked in, just like you, with sustainability for a long time now. I even left the wine industry for a few years to work with food because I felt like things weren't happening fast enough in wine. We were behind. We have been behind food, but so much is happening in wine sustainability in the last couple of years. And this new speed and this new organization, I can't help being very excited about where it will take us in a few years. So very happy that you are a member as well. I love our time.
I look forward to continuing this discussion. I think we're exactly at 30 minutes.
Yes.
And that was really fun. Oh, let's see. I don't think I see any questions.
Let's see. Questions in the swap card chat. Let me see what we have here.
Okay, here's a question. Oh, maybe the comments. Let's see. When we talk about sustainability, transparency, infometrics, what is the degree of responsibility that the government of each country should be a standardized measure? I mean, my answer to that is, the government should be responsible, but that's not happening. And so, and the only way to talk to the government is by voting. And we have 1 vote per person, which is fantastic. Democracy, I've lived in a military government, so I believe in democracy. So I think that the government needs to establish criteria for their country. But again, we have, some of the richer countries produce 4 to 5 times more carbon emissions. For example, Argentina produces per capita 25% of the carbon emissions of the United States. So there is a lot of unfairness already in the world, with some of the wealthier countries producing so much more carbon than other countries in the developing world. So I don't think we can tell the government what to do. So that's why I think we need to get together as producers and figure out the metrics and share it with other producers, and then hope that the government will see what we're doing and take it seriously. Like, for example, the Systembolaget, which is a government institution. Also in Canada, there's some monopolies who are putting it into law. But most of the world does not have these kinds of government buyers. And that's great because, every country chooses their system. And so I think that I don't think we're going to be able to get the government to do much more than maybe give incentives for solar and wind. I think that's very, very important. And the more the governments do that, the better. But again, you cannot tell the government what to do. You can just vote.
Yeah, I really don't think that the metrics for the wine industry will fall on governments. I think the industry itself is going to be responsible for agreeing on the metrics and the standardized measures. However, I believe that the government should be the incentivizing the practices that improve these metrics. So especially maybe on carbon and water. And I also want to say that the Sustainable Wine Roundtable will not replace the local sustainability certification programs. We want to work with all those programs and maybe set an international global benchmark for those programs to look at, so they can see, okay, well, the Sustainable Wine Roundtable says that packaging is really important, needs to be included. We're not including it. We will look at that. But we're not going to take away the local programs, because it needs to be local as well, to have an understanding of local needs and conditions and priorities. There's a few global questions that span everywhere, but then water is more important in some places, less important in some places. Forced labor is an important question in some places, not so important in other places.
There's a question, Erica, about Russia, and I don't know the answer. If Russia is
I'm guessing with my group, does Russia take part in your activities in that group? Any wineries? No, there are no Russian wineries that I know of. I don't think there are any Russian members of the Sustainable Wine Roundtable. At the beginning of next year, when we open up to general membership, we would love to have Russian members. Laura and I are also active in a women's group in wine with the female leaders in wine that we've been in for a while, and I know that one of our Russian members is actually part of this conference as well. So we have ties to Russia. Maybe we should invite her as well. Yeah. I'm not going to name any names in case she doesn't want to be in it.
Great.
But yeah.
So I think that aren't we supposed to finish at 8:30, Erica?
The presentation, yeah. We have a couple more minutes in case anybody has any questions.
Okay, very good.
Not right now. So yeah, I just want to say that if anybody is interested in the financial side of sustainability reporting, I do recommend reading up on it. Right now, it's mainly investors who care, and I used to work in finance before. I fell in love with wine while I was working as a biotech equities analyst. So I was in the financial industry, and just left everything and went into wine, because wine has a tendency to do that to people. And back then, nobody cared about sustainability. And now it's on every earnings call, every big group of investors has some sort of policy on it. BlackRock, which has often been painted as the big wolf in the investment industry, are doing great things in pushing their companies to become more sustainable, report more clearly. Greenwashing there's no room for greenwashing anymore. We can't base our sustainability communication purely in storytelling anymore. There needs to be measurements, and one thing that keeps being repeated by around this topic is what you can control, what you can measure. So you have to measure things. You can't just say we did this and this and this and that should be good. You have to measure where we're starting, and we made these changes. Where did that take us? here's our goal. This is how far we got along our lines for our goal. It becomes an antidote to greenwashing. Let's put it that way.
And Erica, I think that today, for sure, it's important to be able to explain your sustainability program in a quantified way. We use GRI reporting, and it's really a demand from many of the wine buyers around the world.
Yeah.
I think that the consumer interest or understanding of sustainability is very varied according to country, according to product, and that's a big job that we have out there. Because I disagree with you about the greenwashing not being there. I think there's a lot.
No, it's there, but there's less and less room for it. It's definitely there.
I think that a lot of consumers are so tired of hearing these words that for example, a lot of them just believe in, are you organic certified? And I understand the consumer, they want to see it on the label. They want to see proof. This is why we also put our sustainability certification on the label. If we have farmed the vineyards organically, we put that on the label. But I think that there's so much more place for education of the consumer on what these things are. And I see still a very big issue, the smaller producer. I don't think you can ask a smaller producer to do all these metrics. In Argentina, 50% of the producers own less than 5 hectares. That's less than 10 acres. That's a lot smaller than in the rest of the Americas, in North America. I don't know what the numbers are in Europe, but a lot of these producers, they have really urgent needs to do with climate again, with climate problems. And I think that's where that question about the government, I do think that the government has a role to perhaps help spread information, and that can be done through some of the academic institutions, many of which are public. So I do think that there is a role for the government, and I think it's quite urgent that something happen.
Yeah, I think helping the smaller producers make these calculations in the easiest possible way is also part of the responsibility of organizations like the Roundtable. So I think we can get far with that. Now I think we're out of time.
Yes, okay.
Lovely talking with you as always.
Good.
I hope everybody in Italy enjoys the conference. Next time I want to come live. I really love it, Verona. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Grazie mille.
Grazie. Ciao.
Presto. See you all in Italy sometime soon, I hope. Or in Argentina. Come to Argentina. Bye-bye.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode brought to you by the Wine2Wine Business Forum 2022. This year will mark the 9th edition of the forum, to be held on November 7th and 8th, 2022 in Verona, Italy. Remember, tickets are on sale now, so for more information, please visit us at wine2wine.net. Guys, I'm Joy Livingston, and I am the producer of the Italian Wine Podcast. Thank you for listening. We are the only wine podcast that has been doing a daily show since the pandemic began. This is a labor of love, and we are committed to bringing you free content every day. Of course, this takes time and effort, not to mention the cost of equipment, production, and editing. We would be grateful for your donations, suggestions, requests, and ideas. For more information on how to get in touch, go to ItalianWinePodcast.com.